Hi, everyone. Welcome to another of the live chats with CAFA in support of Wear Canada Proud, the fantastic two-day initiative with CAFA and Fashion Magazine. It's been so amazing to see Instagram and social just light up with so many amazing Canadian brands. And I'm super excited. My name's Donna Bishop. I'm the host of the podcast Fashion Talks. And I am super stoked to have a chat today with Malik Lindo. I'm just waiting to see him pop into the feed so I can add him in. Malik is, of course, one of our top models. He is currently in New York. Oh, I see you, Malik. I see you. It's so exciting because you see people start to get added in and then the feed goes crazy. Technology is all sorts of crazy things. All right. Why? There we go. Malik is just tuning in to join us. Sorry, I guess my hands are a little a little sweaty in this humidity here in
Hey,
Toronto.
how are
Hey,
you?
Malik, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God, it's a total pleasure. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat with us. I know you're down in steamy New
Oh
York
yeah.
City. Um, I'm starting all of these chats with everyone the exact same way. Why do we as Canadians need a thriving fashion industry? What do we gain from having a fashion industry that is robust and alive and thriving?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great question, Donna. I think it's important for people to, realize and think about when they think about this question. It's fashion doesn't just exist in America. It doesn't just exist in Europe. It exists literally everywhere. And there are so many talented Canadian designers, Canadian photographers, people who just work in the fashion industry that I believe have this perception that in order to make it big, or in order to feel as though they receive the type of recognition that some of the bigger brands and bigger designers and just, again, people that work in the industry are receiving, I feel like a lot of people believe that they need to travel to America and make it here first, or they need to go to Europe and have those types of experiences, and then come back to Canada, and then all of a sudden they feel as though they're recognized for their talents. Whereas I think, if Canada continues to have this thriving fashion industry and people continue to put their attention and their money and funding into it, then maybe a lot of designers and people won't feel the need to go elsewhere before they're recognized, I guess, for their talents in Canada. So.
You're making such a good point there. And I just want to, kind of parse it out and reframe it a little bit, because I think one of the silver linings, if we can call it that, of COVID is that people are, number one, discovering just the breadth of talent that we do have here in
Right.
Canada. And you mentioned that sometimes people, and we see it across all sorts of creative industries, be it music or literature or
Yep.
fashion, where there is this kind of exodus to other places so that we are embraced here. Is that something that you have firsthand experience with? And then in tandem to that, what would it mean to you as a model if there was more internal, kind of appreciation for our brands and our talents in the industry?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's something that I've experienced, and it's something that I feel very passionate about because obviously I love to
Mm-hmm.
represent Canada. Everywhere I go. Obviously, I live in the United States, but I am so proud of, seeing all the talented Canadians and Canadian brands that have come out of Canada. But I do feel as though, especially with modeling, when I first started, I started in Toronto, and I was modeling in the fashion
Mm-hmm.
industry for about a year. And I went on plenty of castings, met with plenty of Canadian brands that I truly don't feel really recognized me until I moved to New York and then came back. And then it was like, oh, wow, now you've been in New York, you know what I mean? You've made it there, and you've shown that you
Right.
can make it there. And it's like, okay, this guy's legit. And I feel like a lot of people have had that same experience, whether it be with designing clothes or, like I said, photography as well. And obviously traveling is important, and I think that traveling is the best way to educate yourself, and of course, to become more well-rounded. It's important to experience other places and work in other places as well. I just feel as though, there should be more of a, you know, desire for Canadians to want to collaborate with other Canadians, I guess, to kind of show the world,
Yeah.
right, like what we have to offer as Canadians, because a lot of people that I've collaborated and brands that I've worked with that are Canadian, I didn't really work with until I had moved to the United States, and I found that very interesting, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to that as well.
I think I think you're totally right. It's that whole weird paradox we have of you need to be recognized and kind of validated elsewhere before you get celebrated at home. And
Yeah.
hopefully we're going to see that paradigm shift.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't mean to like bring up this reference, but I'm a big fan of Drake, for instance. And this is what I was thinking about the other day, is Drake is someone that is from Toronto, but he always represents where he's from, no matter where he goes and how much he's blown up in the
Yeah,
world and in the United States. He always talks about where he comes from. And I think it's important to not forget where you come from, but also support like what you guys are doing with supporting the brands. Like for instance, Drake supported the Raptors so much. You could see him at the games,
right?
right? Like he I believe built a training facility for them and invested back, into where he come from. He loves sports and he loves Canada and he loves what they represent. And look what happened. They won last year, and everyone was able to get behind them as a country, something that a lot of people maybe thought could never happen. It just goes to show you what can happen when we come together and realize that we're just one giant community. No matter where you go in the world, like we're all Canadian, and I think it's important that we support each other because it can really make a difference, in the success and recognition that Canadian brands and people in the fashion industry will get around the world, so.
Well, it means we start to lift all of us up together instead of,
Exactly.
just one person hanging on their own. What's it been like for you when you've been on set or on a job and you're wearing a Canadian designer or a Canadian brand? Does it
Oh,
light you up a little bit?
it feels amazing. Yeah, yeah. It's something that I am so proud to be a part of. I mean, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the opportunities that I received in Canada and the support that I got from my agency there, from my family, from my friends, and everything. So it's, especially being someone who's Canadian and doesn't live there currently, it's amazing, to be able to kind of represent in doing what I do as a model, which is wearing clothes and representing clothes. I always feel very proud being able to wear a Canadian designer. And, a lot of people ask, like, for instance, I'm wearing this hoodie right now. I don't know if you can see it. So it's from Toronto with
Yeah,
love.
yeah. Show it off. Show it
Yeah,
off.
yeah. But a lot of people, ask me about that hoodie. Wow, like, hey, like you're from Toronto. That's so cool. Like it feels good being able to wear Canadian brands and designers as a Canadian as well.
Well, and being in New York, I've talked to some other people who live in other cities, and you get to kind of be the voice of, and it's Canadian, like
Exactly.
learn
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we're not just, we make beautiful parkas and beautiful outerwear, and that is amazing, but our industry is so much more than that. And when you have a chance to, gotcha, like, did you know, the whole industry is served by that moment, right?
It's a good feeling. Yes, absolutely. It's a good feeling, and it's something that I've become more conscious of. I would say over the years, just being a model and just being more conscious of the clothes that I wear and who I want to represent, and just there's nothing that I feel more proud of than being able to represent my country. Because I think Canada is an amazing place. People love Canadians all around the world, and we're good at
We're the
so many
nice ones.
things. There's so many talented designers and brands out there that a lot of people just haven't heard of. And I think it's incredible. Um,
It's totally true. And the website has over 150, brands and designers. So while it's a nice opportunity to shop, if people have the opportunity, lots of menswear, Malik, you might want to check some things out
I
when we're
already
done.
have actually.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. I,
but even if you're just browsing, like, it's such a wonderful opportunity to just get acquainted with the scope of brands and designers. And it's by no means a complete list. Like, I know there are lots of other, local and boutique and up and coming designers that aren't on there, but it's such a start for understanding the breadth of what Canada has to offer.
Absolutely. And I think it's a
Now,
great opportunity to take advantage of everything that is going on with the pandemic, and people are spending so much more time online shopping as well. You know, so to have one website where you just have like a complete, you know, like a huge list, like you said, of Canadian designers and brands that people can support is incredible. You know, I think it's very good.
well, and of course, our industry isn't just designers; it's photographers and makeup artists and
Totally.
stylists. And you know, being in, I mean, the world is not just COVID right now. It's of course Black Lives Matter
Right.
and reacting to the protests around the world. You did an amazing, talking about collaborations. Can you talk a little bit about the collaboration you did with photographer Justine Wu? Because it was so beautiful, but you
Thank you.
also, it was achieved in this time of COVID. Can you
It
tell a little bit
was.
about how that came to be?
Yes, so it was actually a photo shoot that was done virtually. So I kind of set him up like how I have you set up here on a tripod, and then I had
Hmm.
my camera also set up on a camera, which I'm so blessed and lucky to have a digital camera during this time. And he basically was able to direct me and you know help me kind of shoot myself. And the whole story behind that shoot is Justin is a great guy. First of all, he's also Canadian, and
He's wonderful.
he is a minority, and he kind of recognized, you know, that with everything going on in the media and just you know it's hard for people to see, and it's especially hard for people like me, people of color, to you know see the kind of oppression, you know, and inequality that is currently happening in the world all the time, every week, constantly. And it's a mental health thing, you know. It affects your mental health, and having to go to work every day, no matter what industry you work in, you have to kind of put on this face and kind of act as though you're numb to it. And I think the main thing why we wanted to do this shoot is kind of to express just the frustration and you know the emotion behind what Black people and what people every day are experiencing and having to go through. So I don't know if you see the shoot. There's like one picture of me like crying and shedding a tear, and it's just using our art as a way to kind of express. Obviously, I can't speak for everybody, but I know for me and for a lot of people that I know, it's been hard, you know, to see everything that's going on. And I think that it's any way that we can raise awareness about it and kind of just show that we're in this together, you know. And it's obviously I act, you know, on Instagram is not reality, and a lot of times, you know, it'll appear as though everything is good and everything is all happy, but it's not true. It's not always like that, you know. So I was really honored that he chose me to be a part of that series and be able to start up that series with that shoot, and it was very special and meaningful to me as well. Thank you for mentioning that as well. Yeah, it was
Yeah, Justin and I had opportunity to talk about it, and he shared with me that you guys actually had quite a conversation before, you know, the actual shoot even took place. And I was wondering if you think, you know, one of the one of the things that's come out of these days is there are more honest conversations
yes.
happening, you know, amongst artists, amongst, you know, employees and workers, amongst friends and
Right.
family, that these honest conversations are becoming an important part of not just, you know, the art that creatives are making, but about being able to change the world we live in.
Yes, absolutely. Because I think for the longest time, it's just been this kind of touchy subject. You know, it's a subject, racism, that makes people uncomfortable. You know, it made me uncomfortable to talk about it, even though it's something that I've
Mhm.
experienced. I know people that have experienced it, just because I never felt as though it was something people wanted to talk about, or people who hadn't experienced felt as though they could relate to. But I think one thing that we've learned from all of this is that this is a human issue. It's not just, you know, a Black versus white issue. It's a human race issue that affects everybody. You know, if it affects one type of people, then it affects every type of people. Because at the end of the day, you know, we live in North America, which is supposed to be a progressive society. You know, we're supposed
Yes.
to be kind of a role model for other countries and continents around the world. And you know, it's important that we have this conversation about anything that makes anyone uncomfortable or feel oppressed or feel as though they are not equal. to another person because of the color of their skin or because of anything that they can't change about themselves. And I think it's only the first step. You know, I think the first step is having the conversation, and then the next step is what are we going to do about everything now that we're aware and educated on the things that are going on. Because, you know, one good thing that came out of COVID, I guess, and out of the pandemic is we're now paying attention to not only everything that is good that is going on in the world, but all of the bad things and all the things that we can work on to change. You know, everyone is kind of forced to pay attention to that. So I think it's a really good thing, and I am hopeful for the future. And I think that, you know, these conversations are going to really bring about some awesome changes that I am so much looking forward to.
Well, Malik, I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation with me today.
Thank
It's
you
been a
so much for
pleasure
having
chatting
me.
with you. Enjoy New York City. I just want to remind people that if they're interested in discovering the wide variety of designers, the website is wearcanadaproud.com. Go just check it out. If you feel like shopping, there's some great deals and promo offers to be had there. And Malik, I look forward to seeing you in some sweet Canadian designs on the pages
Yes.
of international magazines and red carpets very soon.
Absolutely. I appreciate you so much, Donna, and I hope that we can have another chat soon as well, to chat more about everything in the fashion industry. And I just appreciate you so much for your time.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I can't wait to talk to you again soon. Take
All
care.
right. Good luck. Have the best day. Bye now.
You too. Bye.